Good morning, everyone. You are listening to Trace Elements Radio, live on Revolution Radio, Studio A, and of course, TraceElementsRadio.com. We are joined today by Tony King. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I hope everyone's okay. We've got a lot today. A lot.
Yeah, I know.
There are such massive earth changes that we have been following. First of all, the dramatic decrease of ships on all the seas, all over the planet. The only ships that seem to be sailing right now aren't for commerce, they're for war. Now, we've talked about this, and we're going to go through this today because I want to catch everyone up on these dramatic changes and what the ley lines mean. And
what
this
CERN
attack
is doing
on the Holy See. This isn't even CERN, I think, this time. Something else. What we're seeing right now is the official attack on the Holy See. Not from the Pope, although when the last Pope was deposed, a nice deposure, I guess, because the Vatican had bought up everything. It's actually the Rothschilds propping up our economies right now because there are none. Know that. There are none. We've already crashed this planet's little stupid money system. So when they, not so politely, said, step down, the last Pope, the Sith Lord looking one, and sent him on retreat and brought this new one in, look at where he's gone on the planet. Look at where he walked to. When I did the whole story about where he went and why he went there, we're being sold a line of goods. Same line of goods that we've been sold, Look at the last halftime show. So we have Black Power anthems just released in time for the Black Panthers to take the field. Everyone needs to give me a break.
Hey, Tracy, speaking of Super Bowl real quick before we leave that, did you notice that Scientology commercial?
I did.
Okay. Because I talked to a lot of people, and they'll tell me about that Dorito commercial and some of the other ones, but when
I've got to write up about
Scientology commercial,
that too.
They're like, huh? What are you talking about? I didn't notice that one.
I've got to write up about that. We'll see if we could throw in 24 hours worth of show in these two. So know that this is not about race. And at this point, to be honest, it's not even about division, although it's kind of about division. But not exactly the divide and conquer, the chaos, the disorder, the revolution. Black and white and everything in between is playing on the same team right now. So, Black Power anthem. Everyone needs to stop the nonsense. And I realize I'm probably a little racist for saying that. But I don't care. I don't care, even a little bit, what your little shade of skin is. Not caring.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, brown, red. We are all under the same umbrella. We all stem from the same people, and we are all going through the same things. They're all trying to achieve the same things on this planet, which is why we're here.
Yes.
And quit thinking of this as a prison planet. Quit. Everything that they tell you is negative, you need to look at it as positive, because what they are scared of will give you power.
We're about to be introduced to the darkness, the real darkness. As the plates on this planet are moving, I have pictures, and the underworld is becoming visible, we are seeing life forms that we have not seen, supposedly for hundreds of thousands of years. Scientists are actually preparing for the mega quake, the mentioned revolution run. Mr. Cash, Dr. Cash, that I listened to this morning, and I've been warning you guys about, not because of what he's doing, but because what he's saying. And I do have this show from today up on the site. This is one you should watch, because it's looking like the worst earthquake mankind has ever witnessed, the megaquake that will split continents, kill millions, if not billions. These things are already happening. We are having a dramatic increase in volcanic eruptions around the world, especially this month. Scientists are saying they don't know why, and I have a satellite image showing how bad it is, because this is on the plates. So when we talk about the plates, we've got to remember this is where the volcanoes are. This is where the nuclear reactors are. And a chain of events that Chief Charles Tudog and I have been talking about that were started in Japan can no longer be stopped. There's not a question of binding together as a people and stopping this, because almost 1.5 million cattle are dead. Dry rivers, around 20,000 children with malnutrition just due to the El Nino in Colombia. More than 10,000 dead squid washed ashore in Chile. Now this was after last month's die-off, which is the biggest, most unprecedented single event known to science, where over 330, actually I got 333, but I thought, no, you got to be wrong, Trace, that's too obvious. But looks like that's what it was. Washed up in one single event. So, volcanoes around the world, this month alone, we have the volcano in Costa Rica, the one in Japan, the Kisiro, I think, Karmsky volcano in Russia. They have all erupted, with the Barren Island volcano, India, the Fuego volcano, Guatemala, already showing activity. We have the Indian Point nuclear power plant. Right now, they've come out and saying it is no longer safe. It is spewing toxins into the groundwater. We have a polar vortex. It's back, by the way, with a vengeance for Valentine's Day weekend, U.S. and Canada. So the northeast is going to be seeing the coldest temperatures this winter, while the Midwest and the Southeast shall be plunged into sub-zero temperatures as well. This is not a random event. This is not what the government is doing. This is the event that split the continents. This is the one. It's it. We're here.
Tracy, we're talking about the thing that split the continents. That's something man-made.
Not this one. Because the other planets in the solar system are experiencing it. You can't...
Are you talking about the natural one then?
Yeah, this is a natural event. This is the life cycle of the planet that has happened over and over again.
Yeah, you're... Okay. I thought you were talking about the things that they're trying to do, like what happened in the past, the 3398.
No.
The past wars.
No. Although this is a war, and I wrote up something for you, especially today, to talk about the ley lines and what we need to know about them. Because spiritual knowledge can advance a person thousands of years in weeks or hours if you really take it seriously. And the eyes often reflect this. if the face doesn't, I guess, and your night of reading may put 1,000 years ahead of someone else who is not. I could go, and I may next week go for a very long time talking about this, but there are some particularly interesting findings here. And things I haven't finished yet, because I've only had a day with it, and we'll finish it later. There's a book. It's 145 pages. I'll publish it too. So it points out certain things that connect what we are talking about over time since, my rantings, and the control of the ley lines and the functions of the churches on top of those ley lines. Because there's always, at the intersection, there's everything from rock piles to churches, because we've always known these crossings were important. So Earth, as a living being, makes all ley lines veins of energy, of course, like in our bodies. That's why we have the same conjunctions. However, just as we have discovered with our body, we have Kundalini, we have Ming, we have Yin, we have Yang, we have Prana. Well, some of these mean the same as the others. There are many different energies with many different names. So which energy are they tapping into those that know of such things? And the answer is within you, how you came about the true knowledge. So ley lines can be used as a direct charging station for an activated human body. As I've talked about before, it seemed from the moment I activated, this energy was seeping out of my hands, between my thumb and out of the bottom of my feet, sometimes out of my stomach. And this caused a constant slow draining of power, it felt to me. I'm experiencing this now. And I think most of us are. If you think you're connected to the planet, you're feeling this. You may be sick, you may be drained, you may be really, really tired. You're off, one way or another. If you're not, then you have to look at that. But I think one of the most incredible statements, something that we really need to look at, is about what the Jesuits have done to tap the ley line. And this was what Tony was alluding to. And then bury one of their priests there, so that he would become the guardian angel of that area. And you can trace this all over the world. On certain ley lines, they have built and buried priests. So now that really explains a lot when you think about it. And it also gives you the idea about how graveyards, if not situated properly, causes spirits to be stagnant, trapped, while they would normally take the ley line route to their next spiritual destination. So let's talk about the real Knights of Malta. And yeah, it's all coming out now, like we've said before, that time can be controlled. That's certain. And that those who wish the freedom of truth, we have come to grant it. No stone left unturned. As I will expand the skeleton of each of these posts, that I will do for the next little while, because it's really, really important.
Let me throw this out there real quick, Tracey, to piggyback off that CERN controlling time. See, they're doing it from a scientific approach, and because they lack the spiritual component, they can't achieve what the human body can achieve.
Right. It's a fake. It's the AI version of what we are.
Yes.
So it will always fall short. Right?
Exactly. But if you work on yourself, if you look at all the things that cause you fear, that they tell you you should fear as power, then you start to realize what your true potential is.
So even in their systems of what they've made, it's taking what we are and twisting it. So when we go to Rome, go to the church in the U.S., we go to the Bureau of Engraving, the Bureau or the Pension Bureau, the White House, the Capitol. All of these things are coup pa. Pa, papacy, Palpatine, Pope. This is the P that I've talked to you about. This is the Chi Rho. This is the pirates of the Holy See. This is the takeover going on in the underground. There are things happening on this planet that they couldn't do if they wanted to. There are things they are doing because they're at a point where they know they will never be forgiven. And it sounds like something fishy is going on, and no doubt some trapping is going on, and it makes it a whole lot more cohesive. This is talking about the currents of water that carry the energies, and many beings use water to travel to destinations as it is most receptive element. This is why it's so easy to put intent in water. And there are some things about dead people only being able to travel in straight lines, like angles. So these are the angels again. This is why they come at angles. So there's a constant dishing out of fear-mongering. Warrants left and right these days, I understand. But the fact still is knowledge gives you the ability and allows you to eventually be firm on your choices, to progress towards something big, a huge meaning here. Being totally awake if you want, or throwing that idea out and going back to sleep. If it's anything that we can learn, it's that we have to grow up on a planetary level and stop looking to mama and papa all the time and get into the galaxy so you can go universal, because we cannot look around and not notice these things. I don't think. And if you're not noticing them, I don't know what to say, but look at February. Just a couple dates in February. The 10th, Japan, third day of volcanic tremors. At Krishima, catastrophic eruption, they called it. February 9th, Guatemala, eruption of again, Volcan de Fuego, which means fire, which, that was going to happen. February 8th, Japan. The agency warned for possible catastrophic blowouts as volcanic gas and activity at Antake increasing. Costa Rica, new smoke and ash evolutions. Again, Costa Rica, Indonesia, two of them on the 7th. Again, Japan on the 7th. This again was Mount Antake volcano. Guatemala, the 6th. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this one. February 5th, Peru. Typically snow-covered volcano, also known as Putina, showing signs of awakening after almost a dormant period that goes back to the 15th century. Japan has so many, got another one on the 5th. Antarctica, the 4th. Mexico, the 3rd. India, the 3rd. The 1st, Mexico. The 1st, Russia. So don't forget, January this year, also very active. So these volcanic eruptions, forecasting a catastrophic event. These are the days of darkness. One of these things goes off, ash in the sky. We've already had global dimming. They would like to take a lot of credit for that. I would like to say, not this time, although they're not helping.
Isn't it funny that some of those places you just named have churches dedicated to Satan erected recently?
Places the Pope visited.
Mm-hmm.
On his tour de force. And we got to go back to that, because I realized I can't go through it without us talking about it. And I know that you like my Super Bowl plays. So a hymn. This is a hymn for this time, this year of darkness, which I just look at as Shiva's Super Bowl halftime, Stars and Angels. So each year, the Super Bowl is the most watched event in the history of the world. Among people who otherwise don't care for football, they become emotionally invested in a game that compels them to what? Choose sides. There are more people who watch this event in any given year than the entire global population. For 70% of human history, 99% if you're Darwinian. So this year's Super Bowl, taking place on the final day of the Chinese Year of the Goat, or the sheep. So 1 month to the day before Shiva festival on March 7th, which is, it's going to be big. So how did we get here? Seriously, how did we get intelligent people, I mean mothers and fathers and business execs and physicists and pastors and professors and government officials and authors and artists and everyone in between becoming emotionally involved in a game? Granted, most people's lives don't hang in the balance because they're not paying attention, but nevertheless, they have a preference. And the question to me is, why? Why do grown adults have a preference at all in something that has zero impact on their lives? Zero impact. You couldn't play with these boys, and if you did, the same thing that's happening to them. Catastrophic concussions, life-changing events. Their bodies are destroyed after this game. They are dying for you. That's what's happening on that field.
Mentally and psychologically, what people don't realize is the picking of sides is keeping your hemispheres from being bridged together. It's like your left brain is fighting your right brain.
Yes. And it's why the center part of most people's brains are actually dead, inactive. They can't bridge it.
And that's where your pineal organ is, or your eye of Haru.
Yep. So the question I ask is, again, why? Because these same individuals ridicule people who look deeply into things that, when enacted, would have a profound impact on someone's life. So long as one's little kingdom of fantasy is intact, I guess, no need to pay attention to anything else. And herein lies the level of deception. The halftime show has taken on a life of its own. Each year, my social media blows up with everyone's opinion about the performances. Usually rave reviews. Sadly, some who give them are pastors. Well, they're the P, so they're going to tell you the product of what you should be believing right now. So most are oblivious to the even supernatural, the nature, the intent. As much entertainment is under the shield of art, and art is providing, as Tony was saying, an umbrella for the ignorant to embrace the sensual and the progenitors to worship the adversary in the open. I don't care what you call it. I really don't believe in your little Satan and stuff, but there is an adversary that I believe in.
No, Satan. See, all the old teachings are symbolic. If you want, the best way to pass on knowledge to future generations is not through some written language that they would have to decipher, is through symbology. That's why they use symbols.
Yeah.
That's why it was cuneiform, because we can translate that better.
Pictures. We like pictures.
So you don't take things literal. Satan was not some red demon. It was people. It was the adversary. It was the enemies of the common people at that time.
Yes.
So to speak.
Exactly. It
was not some demon or some angel with wings or anything like that. No, it was people. It was people versus people. And there's always been people versus people, and the God is the God within you. As above, so below. Stop looking for a God out in space. Start looking for the God within you.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we need to bring this up, because I've had some emails, and I realize I hurt people's feelings when I talk about their gods. I don't mean it as such. I really don't. But even the ones who talk to me about the angels and the aliens, yes, I believe we are surrounded by all kinds of things, entities. Some are powerful, some are on our side, some are not. Just like
Most
people.
Definitely.
Just like people.
Mm-hmm.
Even our right and our left side fight against each other most times if you're not aware of how to get them working. What I would like to say, and it was a poignant question. I won't say who sent it. It was awesome, by the way, about the aliens and if they're coming. Because this goes on to even the gods and all that kind of stuff. They left your ass here. They don't want you. That's it. They're gone. You're here. Deal with yourself being here.
Let me tell you something about the aliens. We are the aliens. So if you want to get off this planet, then do it yourself.
Yep. Yes, they come and they take you and they mess with you, and they still do what? Leave your ass here. So here is what we have to deal with. Yes, of course, we're being visited. The more open you are, you get visited by all kinds of things. Fix yourself. Don't worry about all that other stuff. And the fact that you're here and people are telling me that they are aliens and they are transplanted from other planets, yes, but if they wanted you there, you wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Your butt is here now.
let me say something about this ancient astronaut theory.
Okay.
Ancient astronauts are humans. So if you look at that ancient alien show and you replace all the aliens with humans, then you start to realize the power that you have. The power that you once had, the power that you can retain back if we work together.
Yes. In the next coming weeks, I'm going to read to you from the Lament of Trismegistus. I haven't read it yet to everyone, but it's worth hearing because it wasn't talking about just ancient Kemet. Remember that ancient Kemet was built on the archetype of the planet, so the archetype of our body. So when they talk about the loss of a nation, the loss of a time, because that's what these stories are about, they're talking about the physical loss of when the deceiver came upon us, when we took that into our body. Or we wouldn't fight so much over ridiculous things. We're worrying about sovereignty when we can't control our own bodies. We're worrying about who owns what piece of dirt, which will live long past you, long before you, and you can't own the land. You won't own the land. Your people won't own the land. This planet is about to shake us off like a bug. How can you not see that? So we have a choice. We have a choice. And it's not even stand up and fight now. It's not. It's too late for that. See what's going on. Get yourself ready. In every way. And I realize, I've been telling you guys about how I've been feeling. And pretty physically, I'm beaten. I'm taken down. But my mind is moving in a fantastic way. I'm sure the earth is too. So let's talk about the halftime show. We're at halftime now. That's interesting in itself. So, again, we're standing under the umbrella, and it is an epitaph of a hidden in plain sight. And it's astonishing that it is hidden from so many when it becomes exponentially more blatant as time goes on. The last couple of years I've been like, I did not just see that. So the Super Bowl halftime show, tour de force of deception, it exposes those even with blind eyes. The brazen intent of those who seek to either usher in the new age, but at this point, it's too late. They want you feasting on some poisoned breast. I can't think of it any other way. They want you dull and stupid. And for the most part, that's worked. That's worked. All people saw was racism, and Beyonce had Black Panthers dancing, but nobody else complained about when she had black dressed guys dancing on the AMA Awards. Well, I complained. So, the siren song loses a grip when you're honest with yourself and begin asking basic questions. When you believe that everything is scripted and has a specific meaning to fit in this delusion, it starts falling into pieces. And they bank on the idea that you won't ask questions or even care to understand. Shooting stars, angel wings, fiery flames in every performance. Why? And I'm not trying to decode the entirety of every performance, but convince you that there is far more to this. Before we get to some of the details, I'd like to flesh this out more. I'm going to cover the hymn for the weekend, where traditionally one would think of Amazing Grace or How Great Thou Art or some ode to some Herne the Hunter. But this is an ode to the banal, the carnal. And there's no false pretense here. Once people would sing hymns, I guess, on the Sabbath. Now this hymn for the weekend. So hymn is a noun. A religious song or a poem, typically a praise of a god. Verb, praise, celebrating, to call, to summon. So since Plato, we have excelled with mashing every way of thinking into a formula. That's what Plato was. He starts with a P. He's about law and order. He's justice. So much of what you will read about all of these things will be really interesting, and I didn't want to bore you to death with things that you've heard over and over again, but you may find yourself resisting because you have nowhere to place it. It's kind of all, this is just great, but what does it mean? So a lot of times it's more like nails on a chalkboard. This word coincidence, this convenient island of mishmash, all things of not understanding, And I certainly don't know the intricate details of everything. But since I've thrown my hat in with this abominable word, which I can't say, I've begun to see a pattern here. And there is no methodology here. Not all who wonder are lost, I guess. When I see groups, I look there too, I have to say that I look here too. There's an interesting site called informedchristians.com. Because you have to look at Christianity and their role related to this. Because Christians are being targeted. Your minds are being used. Harvested, if you will. Just like the Muslims are being harvested at this time. So to understand the occult rituals, it's all being targeted at the people who follow the one God. And if you believe there's one God, then I'm thinking by extension it's got to be the same guy. And I realize
guy,
guy,
not God. There is a God that people worship that was once a man but became a neter, which is a force of nature.
And even
which is
in
something
the stories,
that we all can become.
Yeah. And even in the stories, he changes and becomes so hideous. If you look at him, you would die. Then he's got to be a burning bush and all that stuff. So this guy. So if you place the stories on an island of all things you're not sure of, we can start piecing it together. That there are certain goals. There are certain events that tap into your souls with passion, with vitality, because you've now picked a side and you are rooting for them. And you don't even really have to be enjoying the event. It still is classified as participation, consent, regardless of your feeling on the matter. So how does a hostile, exposing spirit towards these matters make a difference? Why are so many media devices, crowd energy, hype, sports, video, music, entertainment, competition being combined in one event to tap on the four main areas of life?
To steal your melanin.
Yeah. And will subjecting yourself to such a large tapping of being have lasting consequences? I say yes. So let's just look at some of the numbers. I know you guys like the numbers, so I found some numbers for you. 110 days from October 20th, which was the 239th day in America's 239th year, 99 days from Halloween 2015 to the Metrojet bombing over Sinai, killing 224 people. 88 days from 11/11. 77 days from 11/22, when the landslide in Habkent, the Chechen state, northern Myanmar, killed at least 116 people near a jade mine, with around 100 more missing. The headlines read, "More than 100 jade hunters killed in the landslide. Myanmar mine," CNN. 66 days from the day following San Bernardino. 55 days from the first weekday after the UN climate change reached its agreement. An agreement that will not become binding until 55 nation states produce 55% of greenhouse emissions to ratify the agreement, UNCCC. 44 days from the Christmas full moon. 33 days from Obama's executive action on gun control. Day number 4, Oregon standoff. She says to herself. Because I must be imagining all of these things. Right? Can't be a plan.
They like their numbers, and they like things to match up.
Numbers are numbers. Can't make this stuff up. So, lyrics. Music has power. Vibrations penetrate your subconscious. There's nothing you can do about that.
Not only that, but music, when it enters your ear, it resonates with the melanin in your body. So the energy that's in that music can either excite or it can deaden your melanin.
And that's the darkness of which we speak. There are a couple different darkness going on right now.
And when we're talking about attacking your melanin, we're talking about also attacking your soul, because your spirit and your melanin are connected.
Yes, exactly. So, this is the power of life and death. Words about all life, and they have the power to destroy it. Many people believe that music is neutral in a world where neutrality does not exist. Neutral, well, nothing is neutral. The spiritual realm is pulling at each person in every moment, awake or asleep, walking or riding. So, I've included lyrics on the page from the following songs because they're top positions in the U.S. Billboard. Correspond to intervals of 11. 11 is chaos, disorder, judgment. So, I have a long thing about the actual lyrics, and they're pretty dark. What's up there right now? I don't want to read them. I don't want to give them the power of my voice. But Coldplay, Beyonce, Bruno Mars, who I've talked about before, when we're breaking down the esoteric, Bruno has a lot to do with it, and he's Mars. I know Mars when I see it. So, again, masculine, proper name from Latin, Martinus. Derivative of Mars, genitive of Martis, Roman god of war. Again, go to my page, look up Mars. So, Christian Martin, Mars, lead singer of Coldplay. Martin means Mars. Mars is the Roman god of war. Of 3 performers, this can't be an accident, 2 of them have a reference to Mars, god of war, in their names. And since Mars and Martin are both mean war, After the Roman god, you have to consider briefly how many other artists could have been called upon to give us two references to the Roman god of war in one Super Bowl. Seriously. Someone please do that. Look at the top 100 artists. Find me a percentage of how many other options there were. Give us two with that name. Mars. The name actually of a current winter storm that extends as far as South Carolina. Weather.com. The performer without the god of war in their name was Beyonce. So, Beyonce released her new single, Formation, the day before the Super Bowl. Now, according to the Daily Beast, Formation, oh, does it say something? Black Power anthem for the masses released as a Black History Month gets underway. Formation as a much powerful, gritty, unapologetic a message, an entry, a coat of arms. Now, we have Black Power. We all have Black Power. This is the power of your pineal gland. This is the darkness, and we're going to have to get used to the darkness for sure. Because when these volcanoes go off, there will be darkness. You will need to find your inner light. So for the Black Panthers taking the field, give me a break. So what? So what? With all the armed militant crap going on right now, the Black Panthers is trying to tell you something else. Formation. Formation is a 111. Simple gematria. 11 is the number of chaos. This is disorder. This is judgment. This is quite filling. It's actually 666 in English gematria. You can go to gematrix.com. Beyonce means one who is beyond others. Giselle, derived from a Germanic Giselle, meaning hostage, pledge, and may have started actually as a name or a nickname for a child as a pledge to a foreign court. Knowles, common Irish, Gaelic, means desire, or in the Cornish means dweller of the knoll. So Beyonce's Super Bowl 47 to 313 to Super Bowl 50 is 1,100 days. Bruno Mars Super Bowl 48, which I talked about because that was a big one, 2/2/14 to Super Bowl, this one, 736 days. 1,100 plus 736 is 1,836. A lot of interesting things took place in the 36th year of the 19th century. 1836 was a leap year, as is 2016. A leap year occurs about every 4 years. A battle of the Alamo began and ended in this year. Revelation, rebellion, Mars, war. Charles Darwin returns to England aboard the HMS Beagle with biological data that he will use later to develop his theories of evolution. Charles Darwin climbs Green Hill on Ascension Island, the year of Darwin's ascent. Green Hill connects to us to Beyonce Knowles above. This is the beginning of Darwin's ascent. So think about the implications that his theory has had on the entire world as we approach the final deception, the final descent. The big G's title as creator was circumvented through a new theory that was blindly accepted, ridiculously fought over, and dispensed by the high priests of the New Age, academia, scientific community. So the seed which began to sprout has produced much poison, and not brought us together, but brought us apart. And the song Coldplay collaborated with Beyonce, loaded with symbolism, that directly connected to Shiva, the destroyer, and Kali, the goddess of doomsday. So all I see from that, Shiva, Kali, and the Trident. The music video takes place in India. Again, Shiva, goddess of destruction. This is also the god whose statue sits outside CERN headquarters. Within the first minute, a child is painted as Kali, holding a trident. He is a Cthulhu. He is also Poseidon. So the first mention in Scripture is Eli's wicked sons and the three-pronged fork. It is a symbol. And you may recall their Super Bowl ad, "The world is full of giants." The trident is also the coat of arms for the Ukraine, as well as the symbol for Malaysian Airlines. Malaysian Airlines has a plane missing, or shot down, or taken to the Underworld. Who knows? What feels like a few months ago. So in 2014, it was actually that long ago, Malaysian Airlines lost 2 Boeing 777s within 131 days. The second was a Flight 17 shot over Ukraine July 17th. The two incidences resulted in a 33% decrease in weekly bookings. 701 or 17 days before the Super Bowl, flight MH370, so 777, a Boeing 777 disappears mysteriously, as if eaten by I don't know what. 570 days before the Super Bowl, Flight 17 gets shot down on 7/17, a Boeing 777 over Ukraine. That is the land of the Trident. Oh yeah, it gets weirder. And we'll be right back.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Trace Elements Radio, and we're here today with Tony King.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Now, it gets worse. An international team of scientists have just recently returned from a 47-day research expedition, so that's an 11, the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. They tried to pierce the very mantle of the earth, and they have found life. It was led by a scientist, Gretchen Frau Green. So even her, this name, is what Beyonce did as the Green Man, as Herne the Hunter, as Cain. So we go back to Kali, who appeared on the Empire State Building a few months back, is again the same as Shiva, holding a trident. So does Poseidon, god of the sea. Trident symbol is important. It runs deep. It runs to our very core. It is a sign of the Maserati. Then we have Cernunnos, horned goat god, goat. The overlaps are crazy, involving the Trident and Shiva, with the Super Bowl closing on the year of the goat. And we can't forget, god of all things, goat, Obama Shiva on Newsweek. In a world where people dump things they don't understand into coincidence, purgatory, I guess, this is all fine. But for those who have eyes to see, the truth is becoming way stranger than fiction. The world is full of giants, and they have always been here, so be prepared because now they are striking. Now let's look at the lyrics, the hymn for the weekend. Drink from me. We'll shoot across the sky, angels sent from above. Put your wings on me. I'm feeling drunk and high. Make the stars come out. These lyrics should be of no surprise. It existed in every Super Bowl halftime show of the last 5 years. What I did tell you, it's always been about stars and angels. For the discerning of us out there that ask questions such as, what? Well, this is the Lucifer myth. This is the fallen angel who many believe was the leader of music in heaven. Likes to have people sing about himself, even if they don't know they are. Drink from me. Doesn't that even make sense in a physical sense, unless you are speaking about breastfeeding in a spiritual sense? Jesus said, I think in John 7, if anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. Mocking. So angels, plural, clear reference to the incursion talked about by Enoch. Enoch, Enochian magic. We go to supernatural, who has now presented us with God's sister. And that show is heavily Enochian. So again, connecting us to Genesis 6, there were giants in the earth in those days, and the bizarre Maserati commercials, again the giants in Genesis 6, Nephilim, offspring, fallen angels, and human women. If this was a love song to another individual, it would not use the angels plural. Again, you may not have a category for this information, but don't allow that to deter you simply because the words don't make much sense. But they are intentional. You must also understand that the individual who writes these words does not have to know what they are saying. Drink from me, they'll shoot across the sky. Symphony, they'll shoot across the sky. We're on a drink from me, they'll shoot across the sky. Symphony, so high, they'll shoot across the sky. Oh, angels sent from above, you know you make my world light up. When I was down, when I was hurt, you lift me up. Life is a drink and love's a drug. Oh no, I think I must be miles up. When I hurt, withered, dry up, you came to rain a flood. So drink from me. When I was thirsty, we're on a symphony. Now I can't get enough. Put your wings on me. When I was so heavy, we're on a symphony. When I'm lower, low. Got me feeling drunk and high, so high I'm feeling drunk and high. Yeah, it's not friggin' rocket science lyrics here. So high, oh angels, send from above. I feel it coursing through my blood. Life is a drink. Your love's about to make the stars come out. Put your wings on me when I was so heavy. This is what they gave us
It's talking about your melanin. It's talking about your third eye. It's talking about the eye of Haru being open, because when you're talking about the water drinking, you're talking about the water that is inside the pineal organ that allows you to time travel, that allows you to clearly see, or clairvoyance, that allows a number of feats that you naturally can do. But see, they hide it in such a way, and the tones, like I told you earlier, music affects your melanin. So the different tones that they use are now allowing you to access that. If you get pulled into it, it allows them to pull it from you. Some people can use it, some people can't. But your melanin can be stolen. It's like having a hole blown in your soul.
And they just tried to blow a hole in the very center of her mantle. They couldn't pierce that veil, thank God. You know, for some reason, because I'm obsessive, I decided to take all the numbers of words and the numbers of syllables and the number of letters. I came up with 1774. So at first I thought, it meant nothing, because I was thinking I'd get 1776. So you probably wonder why that's even significant. Why would I even mention it? So it should come as no surprise. The theme of Coldplay's Viva La Vida album. Interestingly, the only date in American history that falls exactly between the Tea Party revolt and the first shots fired to begin the Revolutionary War. In other words, the Boston Tea Party began 1773. The Revolutionary War, 1775. When we take a look at history and how it repeats everywhere, all the time, America's beginning and America's end seem to have similar patterns. The more current examples of past repeating is less tangible, more maybe symbolic, but the only possible combination of artists, names, teams, songs that would combine the theme of Mars, war, revolution, formation, Black Panthers, Viva la Vida, French, American, 1774, and Shiva, god of destruction. The moving pieces brought together with him for the weekend and the symbolism in the video. This picture begins to come into focus for me. Israel had a literal golden calf. Now we have an idol, Cav, who wears a gold uniform from Cleveland, founded by a man named Moses. Egypt had a pharaoh. Now we have an American pharaoh, who is the name of a horse. Rainbows are God's covenant to destroy the earth with water. Now they are stickers and flags for pride and defiance. Elijah was fed by ravens in the Bible. Today, the only Elijah in Congress comes from Baltimore, known as Ravenstown, home of the Baltimore Ravens. We have a Tea Party that emerged a few years back as revolution to take our country back. Their mission was to bring America back to its roots under the Constitution and all the Republican candidates currently fighting over that voting bloc. We are approaching the revolution. We have two candidates on both sides of an aisle gathering tremendous support on the basis of a large group of Americans saying, to hell with the politicians. So the spirit of rebellion, revolution, is making and approaching a crescendo. the year between the Tea Party and the Revolutionary War, 1774, symbolically. This is where we find ourselves now. That middle period between two momentous dates in American history, the half time. So between the Boston Tea Party and Super Bowl is 88,441 days. Tea Party was a powder keg that ignited the Revolutionary War, which would last 8 years, 8 months. So the Revolutionary War had its origins in the resistance of many Americans to taxes, which they claimed were unconstitutional, imposed by British Parliament. Patriot protests escalated into boycotts. And on December 16th, 1773, the destruction of a shipment of tea in the Boston Tea Party. So, 1773, Boston Tea Party, 1774, the middle, 1775, the Revolution. Now, of course, the following year, we have 1776. 239 years. We find ourselves 5 months away from turning 240. On the other side of this coming revolution, it would be interesting to see what arises from the ashes. I'm pointing out spiritual trends as they manifest. There is no date in which we can know for sure how or what will happen, but when we look at what's going on in the earth, it's at least giving you something. It's giving you something of a foreshadowing. You still with me, Tony?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening.
Okay.
You know, you said earlier that it was too late, but I feel like we do have enough time if we get extreme with it. I mean, if you really want to work on yourself, if you really want to be a master of time and space, then you have to portray yourself as one. You have to eat like one. Everybody needs to, wherever you are, eat what's in your region. Certain people don't need to eat meat. Melanated people, heavily melanated people, don't need to eat meat because melanin absorbs the sun and it already heats you up. So when you eat meat, that animal fat attaches to your melanin and heats you up. That's why on a 90-degree day, if you eat a hamburger and sit outside for about 5 minutes, you'll start to feel sick. But if you really want to build yourself up, stay away from meat. If you want to cleanse your chakras, that's where you need to start. If you want to build yourself up, you need to cleanse your body and cleanse your chakras. And the best way and the fastest way to cleanse your chakras is a combination of banana and onion juice. And then with the proper diet, depending on the area that you're in, and you have to eat within season. Don't eat foreign foods that are not native to that area. So if you're living in America, don't eat food from Mexico. If you're in Mexico, that's fine. If you move there. So you have to learn how to connect with the earth, with the area that you're in, so that you can master it. So that's where I'm telling you that you need to stop looking for a God that's out in space, that's in the world. Stop looking for yourself in the world and start looking within. If you want to do guided meditations, you need to first ask yourself for help. Once you ask yourself for help, your ancestors will help you. They cannot force anything upon you because you have free will. But if you ask them for help, they will help you because it benefits their spiritual development as well in the higher planes. So what you do in this world will either give honor to your ancestors, or if you mess up enough, could wipe you out of existence. And yes, that's the worst thing. You want to talk about hell? Talk about being wiped out of existence. I'm talking about not just you wiped out of existence, but your ancestral line wiped out of existence. The destruction of the soul. Because someone who reaches God status can't do that. But we need to be masters. And we can be masters, but we need to know the truth, and we need to find our own path, not what somebody else is telling you to do. And the worst thing you can do as a human being, whether you black, white, yellow, brown, or red, is tell another human being, especially someone who shares the same shade of skin or race, or however you want to perceive it, that they are less of a human being than you are. For example, you have black people tell other black people that they're not black enough, or you're white. Doing that destroys your melanin and destroys your soul. And that works on every level of human on this planet. And melanin is the same thing, is closely related to chlorophyll in plants. That's why when you look way back, people were so black that they were green. Now you're talking about back in Atlantis and Lemurian times. You're talking about trillions of years on this planet, because yes, this planet is trillions of years old. Not what you know this planet as, but when it was connected to the moon. So yes, this year is the year of light, and the Illuminati, these societies that claim that they are hidden, that is based on ancient Kemetic, ancient Alkebulan, and I shouldn't even say ancient because this wasn't really that long ago. But that's where they get this knowledge from. So when they put up a church of Satan in an area, when they put knowledge, and they don't really even hide it, they just make you fear it. They put the real knowledge in witchcraft and chaos magic, the sigils. If you know how to use the keys of Solomon, because it says in the Bible, don't accept a man without a seal. If you know how to use the seals properly, then you can become a netter. You can become a god, a force of nature. But you gotta know what you're doing.
Thank you, Tony. When I was talking about it's too late, I'm talking about the earth changes here. I'm talking about the plates moving. I have a picture sitting on the page of the plates moving. We can't stop that.
No, you can't stop the earth changes, because if you look throughout time, every great civilization has passed because the way the sun works is that it will produce a massive amount of melanin in a concentrated area. Say, for example, Atlantis. And then those people will get a massive amount of downloaded information, and they will evolve, so to speak, so that they can build up great civilizations that last for thousands of years. But if you see, no civilization has lasted forever, and there's a reason for that. It's because when the changes in our universe, like I'm explaining to you, with the sun releasing melanin in certain areas to build great civilizations up, and then it moves on to another area. But when these civilizations build up, they leave remnants behind. And Egypt, or Kemet, was us putting the pieces back together from Lemuria and from Atlantis. And if you really want to know why they've been going to the moon, is because that's where the 13th tribe that was killed many, many years ago. We're talking about back when the earth was, it didn't come into a collision, so to speak, but there was an explosion that broke off what you see is the moon. And because Mars back then had the same effect on that planet, which was Mu, or Tiamat, whatever you want to call it, that our moon has now. And we were going back and forth. That's why you have that civilization there on Mars. But the destruction, the almost destruction of our planet, cause what you see as the moon right now in its place, and Mars and the asteroid belt. But no civilization is going to last forever. You might as well get that through your mind. So when you hear about financial collapse, you need to look at the positive side of that, because that is nothing but spell paper. It has no value on it but the value that you put on it. It's an illusion. But what I'm telling you is, if you raise your vibration enough, you can see past this illusion, and then you can start becoming your true potential, those stars out there. Because that's what you want to do. You don't want to keep reincarnating in this life. You want to turn into a star. You want to become the gods that are on the sun. That's what you want to do. That's the level you want to get on. So yes, these earth changes can't be stopped. The changes in us, do we have to let the earth destroy us? No. But you need to get it together. Get your stuff together, people.
Absolutely.
And I'm saying that in a professional way. I can't say what I want to say.
Say it. Say it.
Get your ish together.
Yeah, it's time. The little ridiculous fighting on what's going on. If you can't see, that's a play. It's a play to keep you busy. They want to keep you busy so you don't realize the food prices have just jumped.
Mm-hmm.
That, there's a BC First Nation launching a lawsuit over the damage to salmon stocks. This is good, but it will do nothing because you can't bring them back. The death of our oceans is here. It is visible. It can't be ignored. When we're hearing deaths in the numbers that we're seeing and feeling right now, fighting about who's responsible. We're all responsible. You know, I've gone over a lot of history, as far as we can tell, of the world. When I talk about what happened to people here when the invasion came, when we're fighting about who owns land and who does not, we have to remember that the, let's say, fall from grace, for lack of a better term, happened worldwide. Know that natives here owned native slaves. And then when white people were brought over, they bought some of them too. And then when black people came over, they bought some of them too. This is not a new thing for our people on the planet. This is what happens to us when we fall. We sell each other out. And then later, a couple hundred years later, we think, why did that happen to us? I don't know how many times that we have to see the exact same thing. When you treat people badly, the first thing they do when they get a little power is go after you. I told the story of what happened when the Allied troops went into Germany. What they did to old men and old women and children. We have a tendency to open up a can of wrath on each other and follow along with somebody else's play group. I say play because it's not our idea. We just sell out. The sacred animal I talked about on Tuesday, it was a native man who brought those hunters to find this beautiful, beautiful animal. So there are no accidents that happen here. We fall and lose our way because we fall and lose our way. When we're trying to fight for our family, we forget all morals, all dogmas, all the ancient knowledge. When I say we, I have not found a mythical place on this planet where that has not happened. The ones that it hasn't happened to are probably ones out in the woods or up in the top of mountains that never let you see them. Because as soon as contact is made, you watch the fall. Sometimes it takes months. It happens quick. We get a little chance to make some paper or get laid. We have a tendency to lose everything for a piece of ass. And then all of a sudden, it's over. What we once were is done. And then it's myth and fairy tale and folklore. You know what really matters here? Black lives matter, Indian lives matter, white lives matter, red lives matter. The absence of light matters. There's many who claim to be awake, but as far as I'm concerned, they are sleepwalking. Or worse, they're the Wendigo, Walking Dead. People claim to see, but they're so blind. Dogmatism, their absolute literal approach to complex matters, makes you unable to see the larger tapestry. No, a nuclear event did not happen at the Super Bowl, so they think nothing happened. If a catastrophic event in the physical is your bell for significance, then you might as well go back to sleep. Let sleeping dogs lie. Don't let the zombie buffoons thrashing about, pretending to be awake as they sleep. Don't let them bother you.
You know, we need to learn how to read between the lines to see the truth, because they'll tell you things like cannot be seen with the naked eye. Well, then if I can't see it with my naked eye, I'm going to use my inner eye then. That's how you need to think. Because if you really look at everything that is being said, everything that is being done, then you start with that kind of mind frame, then you start to see the bigger picture. Then you start to see the things that I feared was nothing more than a trick put on you, a spell, so to speak. And you can break that spell. It's not hard. You don't need sigils or any special tools or gemstones or anything like that. You just need, because everything that's I just mentioned is within you. Everything that is in the universe is within you. All you have to do is access it. All you have to do is ask yourself for help and do it. And don't do it in a passive way. Don't just meditate. Be proactive about this. If you don't want your planet destroyed, do something about it. Because I guarantee you're not the only person that feels that way. And I feel that the people here are evolved enough for me to say this and not take it the wrong way. Everybody listening, including white people, need to watch what other white people higher up are telling you. Because, and I'll give you an example. You can go to a pet store and they can tell you that this species of dog requires a different diet than this other species of dog. You can go to a botanist and they will tell you that this plant requires this much sunlight and this kind of food and this pH balance, and this plant requires something different. But we don't have that for humans. Everything that you see a commercial for does not apply to you. And you need to look at what these companies are doing. Who owns these companies? What are you putting in your body? How can you protect yourself? You don't need vaccinations to protect yourself from viruses. All you need is a strong auric field, a strong spirit. And stop letting people destroy your melanin. Stop living in fear. When they keep talking about the world's going to end, the world's going to end, the world's going to end, you need to look at that fear and what it can do to give you power.
You know, we talked about last year, goat or sheep. This Chinese year that just started, the new year, 2016, this year of the rat. Let go or be dragged. Either way you're going, this is going to happen. What this is important. And you know what Tony is saying, like, we are not one cookie cutter people. We have certain needs, different needs, by our blood type that we've all gone into, by where we're born. Your body knows where you're born. Where you're born is more important sometimes than where your people are from, because the planet knows where you are and has set it up so that you will have certain requirements when you're there. But there are also ancient requirements of your biome, put it that way. When they brought Africans here to North America, South America, they did not bring our foods with us. When you're living on the savannah, you don't need meat. You need foods with life in them, because we consume light. Our foods now, no matter where you are so energetically dead. It's one of the reasons why I got so sick. And I've been trying all kinds of things. What I finally had to do was go to fermented foods, yogurts, buttermilk, and live foods, which are really freaking hard to get up here this time of year. Expensive. And if you've noticed in your shopping, and I'm sure people from all over the world are noticing this, the live foods are becoming rarer and rarer. So I've gotten to a point within weeks, because it happened quickly. Not only did it happen to me, it happened to my father, it happened to my son, it happened to my sister. We don't live together, but it happened at the same time. It put my father in the hospital. I can no longer digest meat or fish in the way I used to. They need to be marinated. They need to be practically pre-digested so that there be some life in them. My body was failing for lack of life, lack of light. And when it gets dark outside, which is really a problem for me, and it's a problem for you too, and they've just come out 2 weeks ago saying that the UK now does not have enough light even to produce vitamin D. So if you're having digestion problems, this strange thing that has just occurred to me may be happening to you. It's something to watch for. It's been horrific. I thought, that's it, I'm done. Can't fight this one. I've been trying everything, and even putting on my site what I've been doing. Finally found a way. To get through this. And it's taken a very conscious effort. Yeah, of course, I'm sprouting everything. I can't digest beans or rice or anything like that without sprouting. I have to sprout everything. I need living food. And many of you may be feeling this too. Something has changed drastically. And it's about to change more. Even the fish that I used to go to as my standby thing, not enough. I need zeolite, minerals from salts, and a combination of things that I've told you about. So, these things that we're talking about, this is a fight for our life. You want the real fight for sovereignty? Get your body back. You can't be an awake warrior without it. I know some people have a tendency to go one way or the other. We have two sides. We have a left and a right. Even this planet, and it's just been proven, is not one planet, it is two. The moon is a piece from the collision. It's a baby. It's our baby. The joining. It's the joining. There must be a joining. There must be male and female. There must be the combined force. The both sides, the top, the bottom, and the middle. This is the middle path that Tony and I have talked to you about. We must get both together so that the middle could be produced. Because we're in those times. Let go or be dragged. Seriously. That's where we are. The real fight. We were asked, would farmers market be an option for living food? It depends where you live. Is the food just picked? Because remember, even stuff marked organic, apples and stuff, most of that stuff was picked a year ago. It's dead. It's not alive. What we need as a people, for the majority of us, need something from the tree or from the ground to your mouth. Couple hours. You can't get that, then you're going to have to sprout, and you're going to have to ferment. Seriously, learn how to ferment, because then it starts the digestion process, which for me, I suddenly can't do on my own. My body said I can't do it. So I'm doing that. It's helping. But
things that
sorry,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go on, sweetie.
Oh, I was just going to say things that we can do. We have to work on ourselves, but we also have to work together. And the best way to do that is to start in your community. And if you really want to get back into that ancient power, start building pyramids where you're at. Doesn't have to be anything major. And if you have a garden, put your seeds in that pyramid and then grow those seeds and see what happens. And share that food, because once you put those seeds in that pyramid and they yield 200 to 400% more, it's going to be too much for you. So you're going to want to share. So everybody has a different gift, a different talent. Doesn't make anybody better than the next. No one is better than anyone. It just makes us different. And what one person can do as far as growing a garden, another person can tailor your clothes, so to speak. So we need to get back into this. If we can work together, I was thinking, honestly, if you had a community of people who just stopped going to work, everybody stopped doing a 9 to 5, and everybody grew their own food in their community and refused to give their houses up to the bank, are they going to evict an entire neighborhood? Or would that send a message to everybody to do that? That if these people can do it, then we can do that. That's how you cause a revolution. You don't need to go pick up guns and go kill the government. No, use your inner power. Fight with your mind. Fight smart.
Yeah. I haven't gone through this in the last couple of weeks. I realized my grandmother died from this. And my dad and I get into really deep conversations. We were talking about what's happened to our family, what's going on. We've always been susceptible to stomach ailments. Now, these are people who go above and beyond even life, the aging process. My grandmother, you should have seen her skin at 80. Fantastic. But it was her stomach that crashed on her. This is what's happening to me. This is what's happened to my father. And no, I'm not saying that everyone needs to give up meat. You need to find out what you need to do. I can tell you what I've done for myself, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It doesn't. I need a lot more light than most people need. And since we're not getting it outside, I need to ingest it. I was going to red light therapy and even sun tanning, but at this point right now, I can't take the heat. I have to be stronger before I do that. So...
You said you're getting bombarded with a lot of radiation up there, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, the planet is.
Well, people that are... Everybody needs to incorporate sun chlorella in their diet. And sun chlorella is a very powerful algae that's way more better than spirulina. This is how the Japanese were able to recover from the atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's how the people still live in those areas without being heavily mutated, because they use sun chlorella.
And we have on our site a very long article on exactly what they did, what they used, apopectin, fermented foods again, exactly what they did. It's not hearsay at this point. We know what they did. This planet with 4 nuclear reactors on this continent that are spilling. This is 4 that we know of. There's going to be a lot more. And I live in a place that's actually higher amount of radiation than most places on the planet, just in general. It's natural radiation plus the other stuff. Fukushima has not stopped. The Harman plant has not stopped leaking. The one in North Carolina is a disaster. What's happening in the northern west coast of Canada is a disaster. We have ruined a beautiful, pristine area. What's happening in the tar sands in Alberta is a disaster. There are no safe water sources. So, again, if you go out, and you can still buy these, I bought a bunch of them. Do you remember the scrub pads that are pure copper? Get one of those, soak them, just so they're clean, they have nothing on top of them. Just baking soda and vinegar, that's enough. Rinse them. Perfect water purifier. Perfect. You can actually even take this, put it on if you have a fire outside, with ashes, because ashes, for some reason, is very powerful. You can rub yourself in ash and then rinse that off. Detoxifier. After every shower, you should be scrubbing yourself down with baking soda. This is a time to get that kind of thing. Those things will help everyone. It's no longer that just some people are in trouble right now. Look at my site. Look at the articles I'm putting up every day. Yes, esoteric facts too, but the actual facts of what's happening on this planet, the death that's going on, the new diseases, the dengue fever that's out, which is actually one of the things they mixed with that frickin' monkey again to produce the Zika virus. This is on our 2 continents, North and South America. If it's here, it's everywhere. The spewing that's going on with these nuclear plants are going up into the jet stream now. That means it's in the air. It means that you're breathing it out. Germany has a disaster that's hardly even talked about almost every other day. We've gone over some of the things happening all over Europe. These things that were never going to help us are built on very inappropriate places. So, thank you, Tony, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I always love it.
Always a pleasure. And thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon, and have a nice weekend. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.